Dramatic mountains, tumbling rivers flowing through equally dramatic glens, and a rugged coastline with other islands to be spotted in all directions. The Isle of Rum in the Inner Hebrides is a place where mountains and sea join to give a truly stunning landscape. I was lucky enough to visit for 2 days during a settled spell of summer weather, and I hope this film goes at least some way in showing the beauty of this incredible place. First, I had the adventure of getting there, and so the Scottish ferries were used and enjoyed once again. It was great watching the Isle of Eve get ever closer, but my rumbling tummy reminded me that breakfast was still needed. The food was pretty good, and I considered this breakfast baguette the food of champions. Surely it's how every adventure should start. Eventually, I finished my food and headed back onto the upper deck to watch us approach the Isle of Rum. The mountains loomed tall, and the clouds shrouding the summits made them look even more mysterious and even foreboding. Just what I was after. We docked without a hitch, and I made my way through the outskirts of Kinloch, the only village on the entire island. Soon enough, I spotted signs for Dibidil, which was to be my destination for the first day, 8.5 kilometres away. Hello folks, and welcome to Rum. I'm actually a good hour or so into this walk already. The reason being that, it was all uphill at the start. I mean, the sun's out now, but it's kind of been in, out, but there's no wind. And with the uphill slog, I was a sweaty mess, and it wasn't at all pretty. Marginally better now, so I thought I'd get the camera out. But one thing I will add, actually, all of the local hooligans, midges, have obviously just been hanging around, waiting for the ferry to come in. And I'm sure they were rubbing their wings together when they saw the boat come in, and they saw this bloke with a big backpack get off. And I'm sure they probably thought to themselves, well, hey, middle of the day's up, give it 20 minutes and he'll be here. And I'm sure those damn fools are following me wherever I go. So I'm trying not to hang around too much. But it is just midge heaven. It's boggy, loads of water and no wind. I think there's supposed to be a bit more of a breeze tomorrow. Anyway, I'm going to push on. I'm really looking forward to this walk because there's going to be some amazing scenery. And if I just stop for a sec, look at those sea views already. Cracking. I'll see you a bit further along the path. So it is beautiful, but this river, it's a little bit too deep to ford with boots on. It's one of those I've had wet feet earlier on in this trip, sort of when I was on Jura, the Isle of Jura. And I didn't fancy wet feet again, so I've taken them off and I've resorted to plan B. If I come down, look how clear this water is. But I've packed these. I think these were absolute lifesaver. They're sort of like those neoprene shoes. They sort of stop your feet from getting sort of cut on the rocks, give you a bit of grip, and most important of all, they allow you to ford rivers like this much more safely, and with dry boots at the end of it. So there's my backpack. I'm going to go across. I brought my boots over and a couple of other bits. And we'll go and pick this up and get back over. These midges, as soon as I slow down, they're on me. So I'm not... As you can see, I couldn't help but stop every now and then just to admire the views. They were spectacular, and I'd really struck gold with the conditions. I can well imagine that on a cloudy day when the rain's blowing in sideways off the sea, it would be a totally different experience. So it was just great just to take my time and soak it up. And on the left-hand side, what I loved was that you had the sea views. And then if you looked right, you could sort of look in towards the rocky interior of Rum, with the mountains looming ahead. But I could hear a distant burn, which meant there was probably going to be a ford coming up shortly. Well, I've reached a spot which seems pretty perilous and pretty close to the edge. Check this out. I've just stopped for a sec because that sea view is just amazing. And it's amazing the difference. I mean, the last few days actually up here in Scotland, it's been overcast, wet. And yeah, I was getting a bit down in the dumps, if I'm being honest. The weather does that to you. But when you've got weather like this, it just lifts your mood. And I've just turned the bend. And not only is the path now further away from the cliff edge, which is a relief, but just check out the view I've been greeted with. Oh, it's just unreal. Absolutely stunning. Got no other words to use. Oh, God. It's an amazing walk, but the Bothy can't be far. I reckon once I get over that little hill ahead, I might be able to see it. And there we go. There's Dibidil Bothy. I think that's how you pronounce it anyway. If I'm getting anything wrong and you know better, please feel free to drop a comment below. I don't mind being corrected. But what a setting. I've stayed at some pretty fine Bothys in my time, but this one's got to have one of the best settings yet. I mean, it's obviously got its own private bay, which I can't wait to go down and explore. Can maybe make out that river there, making its way down to the sea, ending in a waterfall. And then, I mean, look at this backdrop here. I mean, it's rugged. It's just Scottish in every sense of the word. Truly stunning. I know I've got that river down there though, the Dibidil River to ford. And yeah, I did hear that this one can be a bit tougher to cross. So it's going to be shoes off, try and find a good point, and then we'll go and check out home for the night. I'll see you down there. And so it's the Bothy approach. No matter how many I visit, I always get the same mix of feelings. Excitement and relief to finally reach the place that I'm heading for, but also nerves, wondering who's going to be at home. And if no one is there, whether anybody's going to turn up. Let's go and have a nose inside. So Dibidil is a typical button bend building. For those of you not sure what that is, yeah, it's the way old buildings used to be built. You had two rooms. One, I believe, would be like the sleeping quarters, and then the other one would serve like all the other purposes. So kitchen, living area, you name it. So yeah, this is the left-hand room. I mean, they're both really nice, and both rooms have got a stove, which you don't get in every Bothy. But it's lovely and clean, really well cared for. So there's your stove. And you've got a nice sleeping bunk there as well. I've opted for the right-hand room. You'll see why. I just definitely think this is the better room of the two. So close this door behind me, keep the midges out. Look at this. Oh, creaky door. Yeah, I mean, I've stayed in lots of Bothys, and this is definitely one of the better ones. Feels really quite homely, and I reckon when I get that fire going later, it's going to be lovely. Loads of seats. Another sleeping bunk there. Plenty of natural light as well. You know, you've got a couple of ceiling panels, a couple of windows, and a nice bench there as well to prepare your dinner, sit out and enjoy the sea view. Cracking. So yeah, the tummy couldn't wait any longer. It's 7 o'clock, so yeah, the water's boiling, and I'm looking forward to dinner. Another dehydrated meal for me tonight. Proper luxury. I know how to live, don't I? And no, that is not concentrated wee. That is, of course, Scotch. Can't come to a Bothy in Scotland without a wee dram of whiskey or two. I was actually hoping to have one or two people to share it with tonight. But once again, I've got the Bothy to myself. Although there is actually a guy camping out there. You can't see him, he's just out of view. Dougie, his name is. I had a good chat with him. And yeah, really nice guy. I did tell him actually he was slightly mad because the midges out there tonight. I've just gone to get some water for the stove and it's bloody hell out there, honestly. It's even worse than when I was on Jura. And yeah, if you saw that video, you'll know how bad that got. So yeah, good luck to him. I did give him a citronella candle, which apparently get rid of the buggers. So fingers crossed that actually works for him. But yeah, he kayaked in, and tomorrow actually he's going to make a really early start and kayak over to Eeg, which you can see over there. As darkness fell, so did the obvious quality of the filming inside the Bothy. I rambled on here for nearly 2 minutes, but I should cut it short and save your sanity. All I'll say is that the fire, or Bothy TV as it is sometimes referred to, was much enjoyed, as was the Jura Scotch I'd carried in. Despite the silence though, which was almost deafening to begin with, if that makes any sense at all,
All that food and drink eventually helped send me off to sleep.
So go ahead and leave it. I don't know what's on your mind, and there's no way I can fix it. But you're also leaving me behind.
Morning, folks. And what a cracker of a morning it is. As breakfast spots go, it's got to be one of the best ones, I reckon, I've ever experienced. Warming up nicely. It's just gone 9. And yeah, the plan today is to properly carb it up with the breakfast. So yeah, got the porridge pot, got my beans, got some bread, and a nice cup of tea as well. But annoyingly, yeah, there was a nice breeze blowing about 10 minutes ago, and there were no midges around. And of course, as soon as I sit down, the wind decides to die. But still, I can't sit in the bothy and I've done that today. And I hope you enjoyed those drone shots. It's just, I could sit here all day and just enjoy like the setting of where I am. It is just, as I said yesterday, it's just unreal. But in the end, actually, sleep last night, forgot to mention that. Yeah, it didn't sleep too badly. It did take me a while to drift off, just because of how quiet it was. You know, it was, well, I'm from down near London, you know, and I'm used to noise. You know, I live next door to a hospital, for God's sake. So yeah, there's constant noise, people talking, you know, ambulances, you name it. So when you come to a place like this and there's just nothing, I don't know, it's even though I've done loads of these trips, it takes a while to get used to it again. But once I went out, that was it. Got up to good to do actually, about 6:30. And actually, just as I came out, Dougie was already packing up, and I watched him sort of kayak off towards the Isle of Eve. So yeah, he stuck to what he said he was going to do. He was going to make an early start, and he certainly did that. It looked idyllic actually as he paddled off. Something I might have to do in the future. Anyway, I'll plough on with this breakfast, enjoy it, and then we'll hit the hills. Here we go then. The uphill slog has begun. There is the Bothy with that amazing view I kept talking about. But look at the weather out to sea. I'll spin round and show you where I'm heading. It's amazing what effect the mountains have on the weather. You can see. I was expecting it to be a little bit better than this, if I'm being honest. A few spits of rain in the air. That is the first summit, I think, just up there. We'll keep pushing on, and I'll see you at the top. Hopefully. Yeah, I'm sure this doesn't do it justice, but it got really steep actually after a while, and I was really pleased to only be carrying a day pack. I wouldn't want to be doing this with full camping gear like I'd read some people have done in the Bothy book. But yeah, looking back, the thing I always love about climbing mountains is that you can look back and just admire all the work you've put in. Don't know if you can make out the Bothy there, just a wee dot sort of down in the glen. So yeah, I'd come quite a way, but there was still a little bit of climbing left before I reached the summit. There's the first summit, 768 metres, nearly there. Let's get it done. Yes, am I relieved to see that. That has been quite a climb. Sea level, well I say sea level, 30 metres at the Bothy to 768, I believe it is. Oh, I've got to do what every self-respecting hiker would do. I've got to put my hand, actually I've got to put a rock on the very, very top, haven't I? So let's find one. Not sure if it's going to work. Do you know what? Dougie was saying to me yesterday how midges don't make it this high up. But I'll tell you what, he was wrong. They are still here. There you go, I've taken one off and I'll put that one back on. There we go. Right, I'm going to show you now the 360 view. This is stunning. Check this out. I love this. It must be the geographer in me, but yeah, I can tell from these clouds, you know, you've got the really moist air coming in off the Atlantic, and as it hits these mountains on Rum, the air's only got one place to go, which is up. And of course it cools and turns into clouds. You can literally just see it happening here. It's amazing. But the Isle of Muck can still make it out there. And yeah, as I come round, I don't know if you can make out through the cloud there. There's a distant island, I believe that is the Isle of Coll. And then, as I come around even further, you'll see right off in the distance, I'm not sure how good, let's try and zoom in a bit. There we go, I don't know if you can make out, I can see them, some really distant sort of hills. They must be the Outer Hebrides. A place I'm desperate to get to one of these days. Maybe next summer I'll do that. But this is just stunning. I'm in no hurry away. I'm not even particularly fussed if I don't get all the way around this ridge, to be honest. You know, even just being here, I can see where the ridge goes, and the view is slightly different, but they're going to be no more spectacular than this. Oh, what a stunning island. I'm sure you'd agree. Wow.
From that first summit, your hard work is done. Well, for a while at least. You drop down onto a ridge, which continues to offer staggering views in both directions. Not too far along, I was lucky enough to see some deer below me, but they obviously didn't intend to stick around as they bolted downhill. After this, the ridge narrows and you need to take more care with your footing. I wouldn't say it's ever perilous, but you still need to be careful, especially if it's wet or icy underfoot. The clouds, when I was up there, just made it all the more dramatic, in my opinion, and I absolutely loved it. As you can see, the drops all the way along are massive, but so are the views out to sea. You just can't help but stop every now and then just to admire where you are. Before long, the second summit of Ainchville came into view, and I spotted the first person since leaving Kinloch the previous day. More about them in just a moment, but first, let me cue the Scottish music and some footage from 781 metres. It was breathtaking.
Well, that was a really nice lunch. First people I've seen on the entire walk. Ended up being two girls from Glasgow. Yeah, we sat, had a bit of food and a good old chat. You know, they're actually heading in the opposite direction to me. They're heading sort of in the direction of the Bothy and then back to the campsite. But yeah, annoyingly, I can't, that's the view behind. I was hoping to get an amazing view over the rest of the island, but yeah, the clouds are kind of ruining it. But they've sort of said it's not too bad heading down. So I'm going to kind of head that way. And then it looks like I should be able to join sort of the head of the River Dibidil back to the Bothy. So let's crack on, and let's hope it doesn't get too bad. Time for the descent now. The legs and the knees especially are going to take a proper hammering. But yeah, the plan is to sort of come down here. It's pretty steep, but I'll just take my time. And I'll come on down there and actually bring my finger in. Hopefully you can see it. I'm hoping just in there. My OS map shows that it's not as steep. It's sort of coming down there, and then I can kind of make my way down into the river valley and back to the Bothy. Sounds easy. I don't know if it's going to be in person. Let's go and give it a try. Wish me luck. Well, I've just spent the last 10 minutes or so on my arse sliding down the mountainside. What a beautiful sight it must have been. Pity there's no one else around to see it. But I reckon I've dropped down a measly 30 metres. But I suppose every metre counts, doesn't it? But I have kind of picked up a little bit of a path. How long it lasts? I don't know, place your bets, who knows?
Yeah, as you probably worked out, I didn't do the entire ridge. To be honest, I'd had a bit of a scare early on in the day, which, I'm only just mentioning. And, didn't fancy the more challenging scrambles near the end. It didn't matter, though, because I was still loving the experience. I made it down into Glen Dibidil and past the spring, which marked the birth of a new stream. You can't beat taking a drink when you know it's so pure. From there, it was downhill all the way, watching the Dibidil River expand as more and more tributaries fed into it. Finally, I clocked the Bothy, which was a relief after a long day on my feet.
Well, after a long day's walking, this is well earned, and I'm really enjoying it. And yeah, my feet, it's weird, my boots, they got wet earlier on this trip, like about a week ago, and they've never properly dried out. So yeah, every time I put my feet in the boots, they're not getting a bit damp, so it's quite nice to dry them out in front of the fire. But yeah, dinner's just, I've got another dehydrated dinner tonight, it's pasta carbonara. So I'm bringing the Mediterranean into the Bothy. Hopefully it'll be nice. I'm absolutely starving, that's for sure. But yeah, tonight actually I will say I'm not staying in the Bothy tonight. I've got it to myself again. And yeah, nothing went bump last night. You know, I ended up sleeping quite well, but I just fancy being out in the tent so I can just listen. There's like, I can hear the river, I can hear the waves and the sea, and just the wind as well. So you feel close to nature. It's just really, really quiet in here. So I'm sure I'll sleep well. There's quite a breeze out there, so there's no midges tonight, which is, fingers crossed, it stays that way and I'll be left alone. But I thought actually, you know, I mean, tomorrow morning I head back on sort of around the coastal path back to Kinloch, you know, the village, and then get the ferry back to the mainland. But I thought I'd finish this video just by reading what somebody's written here. I think this is a really, really good way of summing up this island. So it says, a beautiful day on the Isle of Rum. In typical fashion, a miserable morning and a beautiful afternoon. Truly, this must be one of the greatest Bothys in the world. Beautiful. The beauty of the Isle of Rum is that it teaches you to slow down in an otherwise frantic world. Here, there's no need to pick up your phone to scroll through something pointless. Listen to the sounds, appreciate the isolation, and ponder what life has in store for you. Life is but a series of strange coincidences. I couldn't agree more. Thanks for watching the video, guys, and hopefully I've shown you just what an amazing place Rum is. You must get yourself here and visit.